Akitse tšhono ya go dumedisa bareetsi botlhe ba di-radio tse di kailweng. Let me also take the opportunity to greet all the listeners of the 4 radios that tune live to follow this summit consultative discussions here at the Northwest University. Maybe to quickly zoom into the issue that you're raising, I must just explain that as part of government, we are part of this group of 20 activities known as G20. And you'd remember that since last year, November, as South Africa and Africa as the continent, we are given the opportunity to lead this group of 20 nations. And you'd remember it includes the whole bloc of Europe and other international countries, forming 19 of them, including the United Nations. So it's pitched at a global level, and we are quite lucky as the Northwest. Out of the 9 provinces, only 3 provinces have been given this opportunity to actually have meetings, have these plenary sessions that serve as a build-up for the main summit that it will take place in November late this year, as we hand over to the United States for them to assume the leadership of the G20. Now, as I actually explained this issue, our role as government, you'd remember our communities, and correctly so, they don't distinguish government to say you have these 3 layers or 3 spheres of government. They see all of us as just one unitary government as defined by the Constitution. Now, we part of these discussions, and we are not just here to discuss, because one can indicate that already as the John Beaver Marks local municipality, known as JB Marks, working under the leadership as well of the Dr. Kenneth Kaunda district led by Melik Wenam. We are already at the forefront in terms of making sure that we are addressing issues affecting GBV and F in our communities around here, talking about the victimizations that they might be experiencing, issues of their empowerment of victims and all those issues. What we can indicate that already we are some few steps ahead, because as we can indicate from 2022, after our inception in local government as councillors and locally, we actually defied rules that actually are saying to us certain functions are functions of the province or national, because we are aware that the issue of gender-based violence and femicide, it affects our constituencies, and these constituencies, they don't reside at a province or at a national. There are no constituencies, they are at a local government, and hence we then took a decision to say, irrespective of the issues of powers and functions, we are going to make sure that we set aside funds to deal with issues of gender-based violence and femicide. And hence from 2022 we have done that. To take that a step further, we also then made sure that we set on a collaborative platform with the province and national. We have now already launched a site where we are going to assist victims that needs to be housed whilst their issues are entertained by other security clusters. It's actually at the Noyons, just as you leave for Klerksdorp. It's an area that accommodates more than 100 of people that are affected by gender-based violence, and it's the biggest, I think, in the province, because I think we're sitting at 109 beds that will actually be allocating. Already an agreement has been done between Public Works, Department of Social Services, to hand over the property to the district as it's here in JB Marks, to make sure that that process, as we hear, already work is happening to try to now to deal with the maintenance of the area, so that our people who are affected by gender-based violence and femicide can be currently, as things happen, when they actually experience this victimization, they are only housed, I think, at Tutuzela for 48 hours. And after that, they are also released to go back to the same environment of the victimization. So what we are now doing is actually to hold them longer than 48 hours for at least 6 to 12 months, so that as part of us assisting them, we also rehabilitate them and make sure that as they exit at the center, they are actually people who can stand on their own 2 feet and make sure that they refrain from the same environment of victimization. So this is in the main what we are doing as the JB Marks and the Dr. Kenneth Kaunda to fit in the issue. But secondary, what we are also saying needs to happen, this discussion, because the issue of gender-based violence, it's not a South African or a JB Marks issue. It's a global phenomenon. It's happening across. You'd remember we have a twinning agreement with Scandinavia, Sweden, where we have 2 municipalities from Sweden, Almut municipality and Vakro municipality. As we discuss, as part of these discussions, as we discuss, you'd pick up as well in Europe, in United States, in Asia, women, children are facing the same challenges that are faced by our women and children in Africa, in South Africa. So hence we deem it fit that part of the initiative of this session is to make sure that we contribute in the changing of policies that must deal with the redress of addressing issues of women, young people participating in the mainstream of our economy so that they are dependent, they can actually use whatever resources they have to change their lifestyle. So basically we are here to also make a mark, and we have brought this thing to the university, to our communities, also to solicit views from ordinary NGOs, students. They also must also add their voices to make sure that whatever we are doing and consolidating as a country, and as we hand over this year's leadership of G20, our submissions must also influence what is happening at a global scale.
So,
one of the challenges that what we can raise is that the area, as I raised the issue of policy, we must also internally as local government, as local municipalities, we might have directives and policies at a national level, including targets that needs to be attained to make sure, for example, like your employment equity targets that are expected in terms of hiring people with disabilities. We are not doing good in that area. It's one area that we must actually fast track it and make sure that more and more qualifying people with disabilities are actually also absorbed in the municipality. Secondly is the issue of making sure that as we procure as government, as local government or government in the different spheres, we also make sure that part of the percentages of your supply chain that it's issued in terms of making sure people provide services to municipalities, it's also set aside strategically for young people and women in particular to make sure that they can actually benefit a lot. Those are some of the things that we are not doing good, and we must make sure that as part of rotating service providers, we must make sure that priority is given to women and young people so that at the end they are empowered and they can actually manage to get out of this abusive kind of relationship that they have, that it's dependent on the so-called male that are financially stable and them not financially stable. So those are the things that we need to be doing, and I think it also needs strategicness from the municipal administration to know that these are not issues that we are asking. These are government prescripts or directives that needs to be followed. As our work as politicians is just to play oversight and make sure that those targets are met, and actually more than what it's brought as targets, it's exceeded, and women and children, actually women and youth are the benefactors in terms of our supply chain management systems.
So, continue on with the day. Janong le solofela edi go tswa mo dipuisanong tsa gompieno ga mmogo le tsa conference ya G20 e ka ga matlafatso ya basadi e tlileng go tshwarwa mo kgweding e tlang mo Northwest.
What we are expecting is that whatever views that we are receiving today from the submissions that are made by NGOs, by participants today, including your private sector, those issues must then culminate into some of the issues that we'll actually be referring to the session that we'll be having in Sun City, so that as we conclude our session as the Northwest, in terms of these plenary meetings that are forming as a build-up session, whatever it has been submitted here, it's consolidated and submitted now to the Sun City sitting, and subsequently it forms part of some of the resolutions and decisions that will be taken by the summit in November.
Tushela ite gore go tswa mo masepaleng wa selegae wa JB Max lona what is your input and your impact mo the session ya today?
Thank you.